What's up, friends? Empress Dannie here, back with another episode of That's Right. You guessed it, the Daily Grind. Going to pour you up a nice hot cup of Joe. Get your day off to a bright and beautiful start. Let's jump in for messages, guys. Forgive me because my phone stand broke, and I've got to figure out which one I want so I can replace it. So the phone is just it's propped. It's sitting where it's most stable in the here and now. I heard something about a block party, so I don't know if some of you are going. If there is some sort of a block party, maybe in your neck of the woods, that could be significant in one way or another. Um, there's also, what was the channel song I was hearing? It was a happy song. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a song about being very blessed. Okay, um, there's something. It feels. If yeah, I hear. All things are working for my good. He's intentional, never failing. I don't know why it does give like a God never fails energy where something is coming together or like God is demonstrating like his relationship with you or partnership. I find for me that usually is um demonstrated in God giving me peace in some situation or circumstance. And it's almost like obviously in order for God to like demonstrate his partnership, you usually have to be in a situation where you're relying on God, right? You're partnering with God, which is typically faith, right? Because if you could do it yourself, then you're unlikely to recognize the partnership or the relationship. But in situations where you're having to depend on or to rely on God to actually, maybe it is kind of like, oh, I need you to work through me, right? I need your power to be at work in my circumstance. In those types of situations, you're typically you're leaning in a sense, right? You're leaning on God. I'm depending on you. I'm relying on you, right? To give me peace in whatever this is. Again, if you already had that peace, right? Or if you already felt that peace, I should say that because you do have it. You just don't always feel it because sometimes it's worry, concern. So it's almost, I don't know why I'm seeing somebody like squeeze their partner's hand, like, please be with me, babe, but it's kind of like that, different times of life or different situations in life. Your relationship with God will have you in this, like, please take my hand, right? Yeah. No, I hear Mahalia Jackson. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am weak, I am tired, and I am worn through the storm, through the night. Lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me on. Hey, come on, Mary. But that's what I feel, and I kind of get this energy of like to achieve whatever my goal or my endeavor is, right? Lead me. If you won't take my hand, yeah, I see change here at the bottom of the deck. Okay. Change. And I see the Bermuda Triangle. This is like echoing, getting goosebumps. This is like echoing, right? Hero, victim, villain, right? But obviously, we talked about the triangle before. That's really what it's giving. The power of the Bermuda Triangle. This feels like an energy where change is taking place, change is happening in a situation or circumstance. But this is almost like, yeah, and I hear Mariah Carey, hero. But if you think about it, right? The hero is the God self, the God aspect of the self that literally rises, right? It's elevated, and at the bottom, it has the divine masculine, which would be the villain, and the divine feminine, which would be the victim. Holding these in balance, the hero saves these from themselves, right? And obviously just their natural inclinations, if you will, and elevates them to a higher plane of being or way of thinking, way of seeing things with this young eye here. But that's what I feel is taking place in your partnership or relationship with God. This is what's happening in you. The hero aspect or the God self is elevating to see things that the divine feminine, divine masculine within you perhaps do not see or would not otherwise see unless the God self had actually arisen, had elevated above what might be this lower plane here in order to make some sort of change, be some sort of change, or to experience, change in a way perhaps that is maybe kind of like demonstrating some level of growth. Okay. Let's continue. Change is card number 30. Bermuda Triangle is card number 26. I don't know why this always gives Bermuda, Bahama, come on pretty mama. It's Montego, baby, why don't we go? I can't remember. We're down in Kokomo. We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down in Kokomo. Maybe something significant about Kokomo. Change. Yeah, this has me feeling, okay, there's a letter. Okay, something significant about a letter. Okay, I see a doctor. Okay, so this could be a letter. I don't know, it could be a doctor's note. Maybe somebody's sick, calling out sick. This could also be like a checkup, right? Somebody checking in, checking up, writing a letter to, maybe it's kind of like take the temperature, fill some things out. I see surprise here at the bottom of the deck. I'm also kind of getting like, something that's taking place today is, when your Godhead elevates, you're very neutral, right? For those of you who, this is why I say like God does everything perfectly, because we're getting this message today, but we just picked back up A Course in Miracles. In our first lesson back was talking about the gift of freedom. And that's what this feels like. This feels like freedom, liberty being given to change. And when the God self elevates, it exercises its freedom to change based on its elevation, right? Which can be like based on what I know now, based on what I see now, based on what I'm aware of now, right? It also gives that liberty to others, right? To say maybe they are more divine masculine, maybe they are more divine feminine, maybe they're in their God self, but I'm going to give them the liberty to be whatever in that they are going to be. I do see despair here, right? Somebody is holding something to their head. Like, I don't know why. It's really kind of giving like, put me out of my misery. That's why I feel like this change is here. Somebody's having like some incessant thoughts. It's interesting because yesterday I was getting some sort of message about like complaints and somebody receiving like a boatload of complaints, and someone, it's almost like that person being like responsible, being like financially responsible, or like this is their job. Like there's something of that nature where somebody's like receiving a lot of complaints. You see Fortuna. Okay, I don't know why. There could be something significant about that. But if you think about complaints, they lead to change, right? That could be significant. None of these are wanting to fall. I'm going to stop here. Gift, okay? And we have a gift. Are you ready to receive? I see the sweetheart card, and it's not the first time, okay? So this could be like somebody could be being sweet to you, or this could be like you are the gift, okay? Don't hesitate. Don't neglect to consider you are the gift. You are the sweetheart. Some could be significant about jewelry. You are The gift. Gang gang Sarah. Resistance. I feel like you leveling up. Divine lineage is here. You know that divine lineage, it speaks very highly to like one's calling, right? I'm getting like chill bumps again, goosebumps all over. It speaks very highly to one's calling. So when I talk about the God self elevating, the divine lineage card, Sarah Lakali tells me that it's almost like you knew, or it feels like destiny. I see people walking in a line, that looks like probably ancestors or family, but I see people walking in a line and I see someone like the next one to step up. I feel like that's the energy that you're in, is like you're the next one to step up or elevate into your Godhead. Because in when I think about divine lineages, I think everybody has a divine lineage. We're all just divinely intended or meant to do certain things. We're given certain aspects of divinity through our lineage or our DNA. And I think with the concept of like past lives, things like that, it's very likely that you are part of multiple lineages. And the more incarnations you've had, obviously, it's almost like the more DNA collection that you have, which I would say, Akashic records, right? The more memory or information it is that you have stored or that you are in remembrance of or mindful of. Like when you hear people say, oh, they have an old soul, that's the reason why. Anyway, my take on it. But this feels as though the divine lineage is now calling for you. This is like now it's time for you to have that relationship with your divinity that is elevating you to this Godhead status. Oshun is underneath here with fearless love and Yamaya with awakening. So I'm telling you, I feel like something is awakening within you, but it has to do with this Godhead aspect, that you rising to this place in your lineage. And you can see this crown there that's like being placed on her head. So I feel you could notice your crown chakra opening up in some way today. For those of you who like do your own work, crown of success work could be something that's beneficial for you to maybe kind of do some study on and see if that's something that you have interest in. But when I see this resistance, gang gang Sarah, it really honestly makes me feel like you're a force to be reckoned with. I see her with the many hands, which is kind of giving like Kali Ma from Hinduism, but it makes me feel like you have reach in a lot of different places. I also get this sense of you're very busy, and I don't mean like active. I mean, like you have a hand in both worlds. So I get this sense that with resistance, you're a force to be reckoned with, because I ain't gonna lie, I kind of feel like you dabble in the spiritual, but again, divine lineage, this is like you are divine. Your nature is divine. And because your nature is divine, there's something, I don't know why, I kind of feel like if you resist, that resistance can't be stopped, because I see nature and it look in every aspect of it, it appears as though nature is simply supporting her. And you can get mad if you want to, but nature is literally all around her. And I don't know why it's giving like that's just her power. It feels as though something in, because we're getting nature, right? This could be a natural resistance, right? It could be like effortless. it doesn't require work, tending, whatever, because of what feels like who you are. I feel like this is just something for you to be mindful of, because if others perceive, could be something that you're doing, it could be the gift that you are. It could very well be your presence, right? If that is perceived as resistance, it's very likely because it's natural. Naturally but it's almost like naturally you're resistant to certain things. Especially if there's like an imbalance here, the God self has not elevated. If you're a divine lineage, then it's possible that that's what your responsibility is, and you stepping into your God self, it now has a resistance to the lower aspect of self naturally, that's built in, that you were meant to, because of this crown that you wear, because of this lineage that you're a part of, the mantle that comes with it, and the gifts that you have. Your gifts are, it's almost like you buy something water resistant, right? Fire resistant. Those things are made with and it's built in that they are established to resist the likelihood of, being wet, saturated, right? Of catching fire. And I feel like there's something about that with you as well, that it is your nature, or naturally you were created of this lineage, or some aspect of your divinity has like an intolerance towards something, right? I feel like this is in your equation. And I feel like your Godhead in whatever that area is elevating. And so I can't lie, it feels like, hey, that resistance is getting stronger. It also feels like on the other side of this, I don't feel like this is something you have to make any effort to do. But I will say, whatever this resistance is, if it's not you putting up resistance, but others are resistant, it feels as though the resistance they have is because you can't control nature. It's wild. And they're resistant to not having authority or control, which, right, going back to A Course in Miracles, the gift of freedom. If you're not with us on A Course in Miracles, tap the link in the description and join us on Patreon. Okay, it's free. This feels as though you have the gift of freedom, and there could be others, right? And this could just be other situations that are resistant to that, because they are used to being bound or having others bound. So resistant to circumstances or situations where they do not have control. Which makes me feel like, if that is the circumstance, the reason that you're the gift is because you have been divinely ornated. Your divinity blesses you with the audacity to show up and to be present in your liberty. And likely, as your lineage has responsibility to change the controlling hand or nature of a person, place, or thing, by being resistant, unwilling to give up your liberty. This is so, I ain't gonna lie, it's just kind of funny. But when you think about how God, look at this blessing. When you think about how God works, it really makes sense. I don't know why I feel like you're very blessed. God bless you. And it feels like something about today is largely with a mind of your own. Okay. You think your own thoughts. That means you control yourself, right? If your mind is controlling, like something make me feel like you can't be controlled. I don't know why I feel like today something about that. You can't be controlled. Falling is here. And the blessing card at the bottom. I ain't gonna lie, for some of y'all, you might be falling straight into a blessing. That's kind of what it feels like. It just kind of gives like whatever, if there's a mask, it has to fall. Oh no, somebody could be fishing. It's kind of what's giving big bass. This could be like somebody's fishing, but if they're fishing, like I guess kind of giving like fishing for information, or I don't know, I'm getting like email phishing scam. This is kind of like you're of the divine lineage. You're not falling for it. You're present. So you have a resistance. I'm not falling for that. I'm not this is gonna be I'm not falling in that trap. And then what happens? I just heard the pit they dug for you, they have to fall in it. They fall right into it. Because blessed, you're blessed. This is kind of like the energy of like if there is something like this going on, this feels as though someone if someone wanted you to fall, they end up having to bless you. That's their fall. Is you being blessed. When you're of a divine lineage, you can't, divinity is the power of the divine. So divinity within your lineage is an aspect of God that is within your lineage. That's like the gene, the God gene, or whatever you want to call it, that makes you like him, the power, the authority, the ability. So someone operating under the authority or gifts of the divine lineage that they were born under is, if someone is resistant to that, that's like trying to stop God. That's trying to, God, I don't want you to have that power, right? Like being resistant to God's power. Oh, okay, you go. Whatever you feel like you gonna get blessed, right? It reminds me of Jacob in the Bible, right? Jacob went through this process, right? He wrestled. The Bible is not clear, but it says that he wrestled with God. I say it's not clear because it's also said to be an angel. But if you guys recall, one of the things that I've spoken on previously is that revelation that has been given to me spiritually is that angels are like, and not just angels, but all of us are like offshoots of God. Like if God spits and he gleeks in little energy balls form that turn into people, like that's what an angel is. But he's like, okay, spit this out, right? And gives them a certain power, right? That's okay. So I'm gonna send my voice, right? Like that's spirit mail, right? Email. That's God. Angels are God's form of email, right? But seriously though, if you think about it like that, the angels, it would make sense that an angel is God because they are divinity. He created them, he made them, and endow them with his power, right? In certain areas. So anyway, Jacob wrestled. Jacob was mad because somebody say disobedience, right? But that's again resistance, right? So he decided to wrestle with God, right? It says with literally one touch, the angel or God touched Jacob's hip and he broke his hip. Okay. And that's what this feels like. Now Jacob was later blessed, right? Jacob was given the blessing. Jacob was given the birthright. Jacob was given the inheritance. So he's still of a divine bloodline, even though he got broken. But that's what this feels like. And, take this against the house of self, right? Sometimes spiritually, we're being called or asked to make changes. The gift that we have is the present in the now, where spirit is saying, you have my power, you have my divinity, you have this Godhead perspective, point of view. Don't resist, right? Don't put up resistance. Go ahead and change. And I will bless you if you make that change. or once you make that change. Again, because God gives us freedom, he doesn't say, I'm going to withhold the blessing. He just says, I'll bless you when you make the change. If you choose not to do it now, you just get the blessing when you do make the change. So this feels as though, I don't know why I kind of get like there could be, even within you, you could be holding resistance. If that's the case, something makes me feel like the Godhead is going to elevate again that divine lineage. And I don't know why it feels like, I feel like the Spirit of God or the love of God is going to pour out to you in some way. And because of that, it's going to, give you this perspective that accepts that that something is a blessing, and I feel that it's going to give you, it's almost like seeing it as like, I'm so cared for, right? I'm loved. I feel like that's how you're going to maybe see something, and then it will support you in releasing any resistance to make whatever change needs to be made. Again, the hero. 12th house, spirituality and art, is at the bottom of the deck. I love this. Very strong, like upper chakra energy. So some of you could be working in those, could be balancing those upper chakras, everything above the heart, throat, third eye, crown. Cancer, the caring came out. Okay. This is like, yeah, I just heard, I know God cares, but that's what it feels like. It feels like spiritual understanding or knowing that God cares for you. But just, this is not like, it feels like through listening to wisdom, just being able to sense that God cares for you. And this could be the God in another. This could be God universal, but seeing it as a blessing. Okay. That's what I have for you for the daily grind. I hope you'll join us over on Patreon as we dig deeper for tarot messages. I love you guys, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.